Right. And now we go over to Netflix and Friends, and this is the first YouTube. We're going to be YouTube.
YouTube.
Shaun has found himself a nice channel on YouTube, and he found a documentary. How long is this documentary?
It's about 45 minutes. Well,
Okay.
there's a couple of the same on the same channel. So it's like him. But basically, it's the story is about this Eric Winkle Brown, and the first one I watched was about his life story. Really, he was saying how he started off and he got like joined. So when he was young, when he was about 15, he went to Germany because his father was in he went to Germany. So at the post-war Germany, 1936, to see the Olympics and what have you. And they met a famous German, I think his name was, a proper German Luftwaffe pilot who said, "Come on, young man, I'm going to take you for a ride in the plane." He said, and he took him up and turned upside down and did all sorts of things. And he stayed behind. He stayed behind in Germany when the war broke out.
Oh, wow.
And then he said that he didn't know what was going to happen to him. He had this car, so he would have been about 17 then. And they just come one day and said, "Look, we're at war with your country. We're gonna have to take you." And they took him to Switzerland, and from Switzerland he got back to he was lucky to get out, but he went back to, and he joined the Auxiliary Air Force, and then an aircraft carrier got sunk, so they needed pilots, so he transferred to the Fleet Air Arm, and they made this escort carrier ship for the convoys, which was just a cargo ship, and they basically sliced it in half and he said a lot of pilots couldn't actually land on this because it was such a small deck. So, but he could. So he said, "I'd never landed on an aircraft carrier before, so I didn't know the difference." So, and then from there, gradually increased, and he got better. And they said, "Oh, would you?" And he gradually moved up and flew all these aircraft, and he just so all through the war, basically, he worked himself up. He became, worked himself up, and he went to different countries. So he went to America. He flew practically every plane. He said he was really, really lucky because obviously he was over here. And the people, so basically he flew practically every plane, and he had to teach American pilots how to land aircraft carriers. It's his whole life story, so I won't say much more than that. And then after the war, post-war, he went to see, they said he could have an hour's interview with Goering, and he had an interview with Goering and explains all this. And I mean, what a life this dude has had. He went to America, he flew, and post-war, he basically was one of the few. They said in the Soviet sector in Berlin, they said, because obviously the Russians didn't want him to, it wasn't quite the Cold War, it was still, so he managed to get into Russia, and he flew a lot of like the Sturmoviches and there's comments he makes on the Russian planes compared to the Allied planes is what you would think anyway, like. He was saying you could run your hand along like a Spitfire and you wouldn't feel anything. You run your hand along a Sturmovich and you'd sort of feel every rivet and every bump and wonder what was going to. But so anyway, so that was the first one. That was the story of his life, and then I watched two others. So there was one about the post.
So are they all about Eric Winkle Brown?
Yeah, basically he's narrating the stories. He's telling the stories.
So it's almost like a 3-part documentary about Eric Winkle.
No. It's just like I mean, some of it repeats itself, so I guess it's just that he must have spoken. I haven't done too much investigation into it just yet because I don't really know. But it's basically him talking, and then they show old pictures of the planes, and then there was this other one which he rates his best and worst aircraft, which I really, really like. And this is the one. Sharon, what was the most famous German single-engine fighter in World War II?
Heinkel?
Not a Heinkel, no. It was a Messerschmitt Bf 109.
The Messerschmitt, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know, and this is just for the first time, you're talking to two World War II, or you're listening to two World War II buffs now, going over their stuff. All right, Carl, carry on.
What I do rather than bore people with that type of stuff is what we do is just say that if you're interested in aircraft, or if you're interested in that period of history, or if you're interested in war stories from people that are really, really interesting and have got something to say, then you're going to love this, because I mean it was just one of those random things. I was on YouTube and I just thought, oh, that looks quite interesting. About aircraft carriers, short deck aircraft carriers, and I watched it, and like when something hooks you,
Yeah.
Because normally, if you're watching YouTube, you can sort of dip in, and I mean, what I do normally with YouTube is I might be doing something else, but just have YouTube on. But yeah, excuse me. There.
It actually gripped you. It actually gripped you and made you sort of like pay attention.
Yeah, actually, it grabbed me. And yeah, go on.
So no, just ask, what's the name of the channel again?
Okay, it's Armored Carriers.
Armored Carriers.
Yeah.
And do they just do what's up World War II? Like vehicles and stuff.
Yeah, vehicles, tanks. I mean, the thing is, there's such a plethora of stuff on. I mean, some of the channels I watch now is Mark Fountain Productions. If you're interested in a particular, I guess it must be my ADHD, is that I'll be something and I'll really focus on it for maybe 2 weeks or something like that, and I think, oh yeah, boom, 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 aircraft, Waterloo, Napoleon, maybe other stuff, maybe some, movie stuff, Eddie Howe, Newcastle, you know what I mean? So this particular thing, I was quite intrigued with this, so this sort of grabbed me. But you can, I mean, this is our first YouTube review, I know, and I guess if people want to, they can go on YouTube and find information and
There's
stuff
a huge
about
amount
anything
of
they want to
content on there, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's huge. You know, if you wanted to find out about the War of Jacob's Ear, there's like
including us on YouTube. If you wanted to,
we are on.
We're on YouTube too, of course.
You wanted to listen to a couple of people talk about films that they've seen recently and whether Netflix or cinema is winning. You can find that on there as well. But no, what you said, that is actually quite an intriguing story about someone who managed to go through that, because I'll tell you the thing I always find about us growing up in Nigeria, when you heard about World War II and anything like that, in your head, that's just what Germany always was. So Germany was always this nation that was at war with the rest of the world. And that was the story that you heard. Germany equals evil. That's all you heard. And it's not until you grow older that you think, hang on, but there must have been a Germany before the war. There must have been relationships with people before the war. There must have been people in Germany who lived in other places, and so when you hear a story like this about somebody who was actually in Germany when the war broke out and how that went, then I like hearing those sort of things, and the fact that he traversed all that. It sounds like an absolutely intriguing life. Yeah. So how many stars would you give Eric Winkle Brown's?
Well, I'd probably, the stories, these particularly, if you're not interested in it, then perhaps you wouldn't. But for someone who's really interested in this, I would say this is a 4-star, and I'm pretty sure Shaun would like this sort of thing. I know she's more naval than aircraft, but I'm quite sure she'd like this.
I cover all aspects of.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to give this one a 4-star, and I think there's so much stuff on YouTube that that you can sort of dip and delve, and I mean, so
yep.
and I guess it's a free platform if you want to accept the ads, or you can. So
we're back to Magnifico now. You can have this for free, but what part of your soul would you give up?
Would you have?
What part of your soul would you give up if you want to have this stuff for free?
Yeah, we've got to watch Grammarly adverts.
They fall into the vortex of YouTube.
Grammarly, you need Grammarly.
Oh yeah. The Grammarly adverts are annoying, but I actually wonder what. Actually, I'll tell you what. If you're watching this or listening to this, tell us what adverts you see when you watch our stuff, because I'm actually intrigued to know what happens. What adverts does YouTube smack onto, a Netflix versus cinema stuff? So find us on YouTube, Netflix via cinema, or on Twitter, Netflix via cinema. All right.